Yeah, let me tweet. All right, so we're live. At least it's saying we're live.
All right.
Let me get the tweet out. Hey, what's up, Ivan? This is always like the most awkward part of the show because usually you are in the right place. You are indeed. Usually we have a 15-minute long video rolling. So we're not doing that today. Instead, well, what are you doing, Jacob?
Dude, I'm chilling.
Chilling like a villain?
Yeah, man. I got the invite for you from you for this, and I'm here.
Yeah, I just really wanted you to come on, and I thought I would interview you tonight. So
that's the bad idea. I'm not interesting. No.
Nothing interesting at all?
No, not at all today. Should we intro the show? I feel like that's what we usually do, right?
Yeah. Dude, I don't know how to intro these anymore, from the foundation, from the start.
Yeah.
The intro video I just felt like was going to be too long. And now I'm over talking and I'm making this way too long. I should have just played the intro from the get-go.
You know what? This is the LTC from East Tennessee. I'm JKL.
I'm Cody, your host with the most. I'm going to be eating crackers tonight during this episode, just to preface. I have like a big box of crackers and they go bad in 2 days, and I have like 10 packs to go through in the next. So we're powering through on these cheddar and peanut butter crackers.
I like peanut butter, man.
Peanut butter is incredible.
Yeah.
Best like added. Is it a condiment? Hold on. Before this will be how we start our interview. By the way, we're joined here tonight with a very special guest. You might know the guy from the Xfinity Series, TikTok car, Reddit car. The dude has brought so much electricity from the marketing side, especially. I mean, pulling in these brands into NASCAR is a pretty big freaking deal. So, without further ado, Mr. Ryan Vargas.
Good morning. Hello.
Morning. How's it going?
Good morning. Is that your default?
That's my default. That's my
Right.
default.
Anytime like you see somebody, doesn't matter what time it is, it's good morning.
It's always good morning. Always good morning. Because at the same time, if someone just says hi and you respond with hi, they're just gonna end it there. If you say good morning, it's a quick way to make them remember you.
I will say that's a good
smooth.
point. That is a good point because when you said it earlier, I was immediately thinking of things to say. Yeah, I like that.
I just saw a nice hat. I got this hat for free. I want you to know that.
Where? Explain the hat.
So I'm buddies with his name's Monin. He's he's an engineer, but I think he might be a crew chief now over at Benarini. Actually, no, he did crew chief a race, I think. And he's just a good buddy of mine. He never wears hats, and he was like, "Do you want it?" And I'm like, "Are you sure?" And he said, "Yeah." So he gave me this hat. Now every time I wear it in public, someone says like, "Dude, that hat's sick," and I'm like,
"That is a sick hat." Yeah,
love it.
That one's nice.
That one's dope.
I'm a big vintage guy myself, so anything that's like old, I immediately. Well, I mean, I have like an old bill here. I have a safer barrier.
Why?
It came from Atlanta. Like the night last summer, literally Sunday night, they were already pulling them out. So I just walked over to one of the guys pulling them out, and I was like, right before the reconfiguration of the track. Yeah. And I was like, "Can I have one of these?" He was like, "If I don't see you take it." So then I just picked it up and like walked away with it.
That's actually really cool. I like that.
Yeah, this is like a true conversation piece because everybody's
really
like,
is.
"What is that?" I'm like, "It's a safer barrier."
That's actually wild. I've never seen somebody keep one. That's actually hilarious.
Yeah, now this could be like incredibly toxic, right? Like this could have like asbestos in it and everything, and like
I mean, I
won't
think
know
it's
for 40 years.
By the way, they came out with a new one. There's a new safer barrier.
What?
Really?
Yeah, so like how that's like all like little pieces that are like glued together.
Yeah.
The new one is just one piece. I saw it at where did I see it? It was a track that has safer barrier along the front stretch. And I looked at it and I pointed it out, and my crew started bullying me because they were like, "You care way too much about the dumb stuff." And I'm like, it's unique. They're finding new things.
Yeah, I wonder if it's like better it being like one solid piece than a bunch of smaller ones.
I don't hit them much, so I don't know.
Hey,
We'll find. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
I hit one really good this year, and that's about it. That's that. All right, I'm good. That's it.
You got your one for the year and you were done.
Yeah.
Let's see these comments. What's up, Brian? So Dalton is one of our hosts.
Yeah.
I did
my research.
Oh, did you?
Hey.
Okay.
Well, I had to. I didn't want to just join, and like I didn't want to like because I always feel like I need to research before I get on.
Yeah.
Because like I don't want to join a podcast and then like be put into like a really weird situation. So I was just like, all right, let me look, and then I was like, oh, okay, I recognize his name, Dalton. So.
Okay. So here's your first question. You don't have to be nice here. What'd you think about the podcast from like just an outside perspective? A driver looking in. What did you think?
I mean, this is the stuff that, it's like the tagline is, it's a fan podcast, for fans. So, I mean, I think that's the kind of stuff that matters a lot, especially nowadays. So what you guys do is pretty cool, and you guys talk about what people want to hear.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
That sounded corporate, but I'm being serious.
I liked it. Yeah.
Yeah, so our show, it goes off the deep end sometimes. It depends on like what the topic is. Usually we stay like pretty straight and narrow as far as, staying on point.
Look, I didn't get a podcast microphone to not go on podcasts. So
beautiful. Yeah. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to have a conversation. So without further ado, I'm going to ask the first one, the most important question of the night. Is peanut butter a condiment?
I don't know. I don't like peanut butter. Yeah, that's right. I just made a lot of enemies. I don't like peanut butter. I've never liked peanut butter. I also don't eat peanuts because I learned very quickly in racing that is a superstition not to eat peanuts.
Really?
Race.
Whoa.
Yes.
Where does that come from?
I don't know, but it's a racing thing, so I ate peanuts before a race one time, and it was the K&N South Boston race, and we were heading to the track. I was like, oh, we went to Five Guys, and I was like, heck yeah, and they had all the peanuts there. I was like, heck yeah, I snacked on some peanuts, and then I get to the track. We are dead, like almost dead last in practice. We were so slow. I could not get a handle for the car. Granted, I was 17 and still trying to learn. And then we go to, we qualify in the tail. We're going through the field. I end up driving up into like the top 10. So like, we're making moves. Like we're getting better. And then I think Anthony Alfredo tried sending it on a guy on lap like 14 of a 100-lap race and spun. And I sound like I'm bullying Anthony, but I'm not. But he spins in front of the field, and South Boston is so narrow that once one car is sideways, and like there's like half a lane up here to like pass. So he gets spun, and then like 8 of us pile in, and here I am trying to miss. I pack into my teammate, and then behind me, I think it was Dylan or Ronnie Bassett is behind me. I mean, nobody had anywhere to go. He jacked me all the way up in the air. Our car was KO'd, and I was like, all right, never eating peanuts. And sure enough,
you blame the peanuts for that?
I blame the peanuts.
Okay.
That's the only time I did that, and I never had a weekend that bad since.
Is there a food that's the opposite, like it's a good luck for drivers?
No, I haven't heard any good luck superstitions. There's more bad luck superstitions than good ones, so that might tell you a lot.
Chrome likes your Twitter logo or your Twitter profile.
Oh yeah, someone made that. Oh man, I'm sorry, I'm blanking on his name. I feel horrible. I'll find it.
Okay.
But he did a fantastic where peanuts were found in the race cars. Oh, okay, so that might be where the superstition came from. But he like made a bunch for a bunch of drivers, and I was like, this is tight. I want that as my Twitter profile.
That is dope.
And it's funny because my Twitter profile, sometimes I'll tweet stuff that's like really funny. Like I made a tweet that said like the sun going down by 5 p.m. is straight up icky. And I was like, that looks like something that profile picture would tweet.
Yeah. So kind of to leapfrog or piggyback right off of that, do you believe in daylight saving time?
No, I am a anti daylight savings truther. It is criminal that it is only 6 p.m. right now. It feels like I need to be getting ready for bed.
So you would be fine with them getting rid of it?
Yes.
Like once we spring forward, we stay there forever?
Yeah, stay there forever. There is literally no reason. Like right now should be 7.
Dude, at a minimum.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Fully agreed.
It makes no sense to, like I got done working and I hopped in the shower today, and then I'm a night shower. I'm not a morning shower, and I wrap up my day. People who shower in the mornings, ew. But
Agreed. Agreed.
And I get out and I'm like, man, it must be like 7:30. I look at my phone and it's 4:45. And I'm like, I just straight out cut out like 30 minutes of my work day right now by accident. I'm pissed.
Yeah, no, I hate it. For me, I hate the sun going down early. I'm nocturnal anyway, so it actually makes me go to bed earlier than I want to go to bed.
Yeah, like I'm already someone who doesn't like. I'm 22, but I have the bedtime of a 44-year-old. I'm ready to sleep, and so once the sun goes down, I'm ready for sleep.
At like 7 o'clock. Yeah, like I could probably go and lay down right now and wake up 9 a.m. tomorrow. Guaranteed.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hate that. So let's start with the actual formal interview. So let me Ryan, we appreciate you for coming on. So do me a favor and tell me a little bit about young Ryan. Well, where did you come from? What did you like to do as a kid? And kind of give a little bit of a backstory on yourself.
Well, young Ryan was very fat. But no, I grew up in Southern California. My hometown is La Mirada, California. And growing up, my dad was a high school athlete. College, my brother, high school athlete. Like everyone in my family, were star athletes. And then you have me, who, when I took the leap out of T-ball and I saw a baseball being pitched toward me, I cried. I hate sport. I hate playing sports. I cannot do it. It is so ungodly boring to me. Like I can hardly sit and watch these things, man. And so, but I would wake up at 5 a.m. to watch IMSA, watch Monster Jam, watch NASCAR, watch Off-Road, watch Demolition Derby. I just loved cars, like at every age. It kind of started when I was really young, when I liked like Thomas the Tank Engine, and then that evolved into liking cars.
Is anybody in your family like a mechanic or anything like that?
No.
Really?
I mean, my dad is now, having done racing.
Yeah.
And so like I'm a huge Monster Jam fan growing up. Went to the Anaheim shows, went to NASCAR with my dad, and then when I was about 9 or 10, my dad takes me to Irwindale Speedway. And we're doing a little fan pit party session with all the drivers. And I see one of the recess aides from my elementary school. And I'm like, what the heck? Why are you here? Well, she tells me, oh, yeah, well, my son's racing tonight. And I'm like, your son? She's like, yeah, he's like 12 or 13. He's racing. We actually plan on selling this car. And I immediately, my light bulb goes off in my head. Like, this is what I want to do. This is it. And so we go and get the race car. We test it. I wreck my first ever lap. That's something that not many people know. My first ever lap driving a race car, I crashed. And it was because I didn't know you had to lift.
Oh, you full sent it.
I full sent it, which is a good problem. I wasn't slow, but it was at Orange Show Speedway. I take the Bandolero. I'm going in the corner and I'm turning, and I'm just like, why isn't it turning? Right in the wall. Knocked the right front off it. But we fixed it, and I was able to do the rest of the test. So it wasn't that bad of a crash. But I remember the drive home from Orange Show to my house. It's about 45 minutes. And my dad tells me, he's like, all right, so this is, the decision. We can do this. We can go to K1 Speed on the weekends, take you and a couple buddies. You can go run whatever stuff they do there and have fun and really focus on, trying to do whatever you want to do in life. Or we can do this. We could do racing and, actually put an honest effort in. But if we do this, we're going to make you a champion. We're not going to just do this half-assed. We need to make sure you win races. And he was like, you have the whole drive home to figure it out. Just let me know what you decide. And it took me about 5 minutes to decide that I wanted to drive the race
How old
car
are
still.
you right here in this?
22.
In this
Oh,
conversation.
It was 2011. It was middle of 2011, so I was still 10. I was about to turn 11. So yeah, I was 20. Yeah, so I was just about to turn 11, which is crazy because that's old for racing.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is wild. Like, I remember my first race. One of my buddies, Caden, he now does like dirt bikes and stuff. But you know, when I first joined with like racing against him, you know, he had been racing for 5-6 years. You know, and he was younger than me. So that was an odd thing for me, was hopping into racing and being so young, but also being so behind everybody else.
Yeah.
But no, we went to the Las Vegas Bull Ring because at the time Urbandale was closed. So that was the track I raced at the most, was Las Vegas. We kept our car in the backyard of one of the racers out there, Kaylee Barker. We kept it in their backyard, and we'd race there on the weekends, which was a big commitment by my family, but it was big. It was very instrumental. We ended up winning the California State Championship 3 years in a row in the Bandoleros. The first year I raced, granted, the first one was more of a Mickey Mouse win, just because there was no real racing in California because of the lack of Irwindale. The lack of Irwindale existing really meant that there was all the California drivers had to go elsewhere. Mm-hmm. So there was the championship of 2012 was a little skinny. There was still a championship, like there were still other drivers racing against me that were from California, but we still won it, which was cool. But then once Irwindale reopened, we went to all these other tracks. Then 2013 and 2014, I actually had to duke it out. And then 2014, we tied for the national title.
How does that work? The national racing series, because you said you have what, 3 consecutive state titles?
Yeah.
So
Bandoleros.
How does that cross over, on a national scale?
So in Bandoleros, they operate on the basis of, I think it's 18 races. It's like your best 18 races plus a state qualifier, like go to your national title ranking. And this is where I got screwed in that area. And to this day, 13-year-old Ryan and 22-year-old Ryan are still salty about this. So we're doing, like 2014, we're like, oh my God, we're leading the national title. Like I think we raced 50 times in 2014 and won 46 of them. Like that's how consistently we were winning. And that's a lot in due part to me just having no fear with those freaking Bandolero race cars. But also my dad, I mean, his setups are still winning races. Like he still driver coaches kids, and he sets up cars. And every time he sets up a car, it goes out and wins. So it was a very big, like me and my dad in the middle, like just knocking it out. And we end the year and we're like, oh my God, we have the most points. We won the national title. Well, then it resets and me and another guy tie, but I have him as first and me in second. And so we're like, the heck, we won more races, we have more points. So we call, and they said, oh, well, if you wanted to compete for the national title, you had to run the national qualifier race. We're like, well, where's that? They're like, Atlanta. And we're like, we're in California. We can't afford to go to Georgia to race a Bandolero. So that in turn took us out of contention technically for the national title, even though we tied for it and had more wins. It was a whole thing. I'm literally ranting about Bandoleros right now, but like that was like, oh, that was a hard.
Where was the guy whoever won the national championship? Where were
Atlanta.
they from?
Atlanta.
Were they from it? They were from Atlanta.
From
oh
Atlanta.
Man!
And he's a great, like he's a good wheel man. His name is Jensen Jorgensen. Like he earned it. But it was like, because I mean, honestly too, I mean, the field out in Atlanta was very stacked too. So he, his championship is, that was very legitimate. But it was just like, man.
I feel like, okay, this is just me, but I feel like they should have threw the rule book out and had like a Ricky Bobby, John Girard 5-lap shootout.
Well, what we told them was have the title in Texas. at Texas Motor
Yeah,
Speedway
like
on the front
Meet
halfway.
in the
stretch.
middle. Yeah.
Yeah, like literally meet in the middle, because we would do that. We would drive to Texas. Just going to Georgia, I mean, that's another 15 hours almost. I wouldn't say that. Maybe, yeah, almost about that. Almost another 10 hours. So I mean, it would have been expensive, but we still would have done it. But yeah, that's that's my long answer to your very simple question.
So coming out of that, dude, now honestly, I think this guy might have a Mickey Mouse champion.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a
I
Mickey
mean,
champion.
technically, if like I said, if we want to get technical, yeah, you can look at my 2012 championship. Yeah, 11-year-old Ryan, Mickey Vargas over here.
Yeah. So when you moved into the K&N series, how did that all kind of come to fruition?
So, in 2017, I tried out for the NASCAR. I did the NASCAR Drive for Diversity Combine, and that went very well. I ended up doing very well on the on-track portion, the media portion, and I was like in the top 5 in the physical portion. Obviously, I hadn't raced, in very long races yet, so I wasn't really where some of the guys who had done it were at. But we made the team. I ran 1 year for Rev Racing in the K&N East Series. It was very much a rookie year. I definitely was out of my element, going from racing late models on the West Coast to driving K&N cars on the East Coast. It's a totally different type of race car. I mean, K&N cars and late model stocks are more similar to each other than K&N cars and the late models we have on the West Coast. And so that was a big learning curve for me, was just getting used to how, truck arm cars drive, getting used to bump stops, bump springs, all that stuff. And so I'd never done all that stuff. Like I didn't know how those things worked. So it took me longer than I would have liked to adjust. And there were just some things that just didn't work out. But we ended up finishing 6th in the standings. So not terrible, but not great either. I hoped for better. I finished 2nd of the 3 Rev drivers. So it was Ruben, me, and Chase. But they ended up downsizing from 3 cars to 2. And even though I beat one of my teammates, it was still kind of like, I'm the new guy, less investment, we appreciate your time. So it was a business thing, and that's part of it. I'm very fortunate that I had the opportunity, because it got me to where I'm at today.
So the NASCAR diversity program is very interesting to me. How did you get involved with that?
So me being, Mexican American, really all it is you fill out an application, you kind of put in your stats, kind of some notable things, what you race in, and you submit it, and you hope to be one of the finalists to get accepted to compete in the combine. The combine is with, I think it's anywhere from 12 to 20 drivers, depending on how they do it. I think this year they had they're actually doing the combine right now for next year's team. And so it's a pretty stiff thing. Like, it is probably the most intimidating 3 days of my life, just because
so it's kind of like an actual combine.
Oh, it's a straight up combine for
Really?
fitness, media. Like, they put you in front of a panel and they do a mock press conference, have you answer questions. They make you there was one where they put you, in your suit. You just walk into a room, and then they put someone they have someone with a mic, and they say, okay, you were just running 11th at Daytona when 2 to go. Chase Elliott dumped Kevin Harvick and took out half the field. You were involved. Tell us what you saw.
Oh my!
Wow.
So they're really
that's really cool.
And so you have to BS on the fly. And so luckily for me, that's something that I like doing. I love talking, as you guys probably could tell. I have a really tough time shutting up. So I really enjoyed that aspect. I really enjoyed being my answer was I was stuck in the middle of 3 wide. Obviously it's that late in the race. We're shuffling back and forth. I was trying to hook up with Denny going through the middle there, but then all of a sudden I saw smoke from Harvick's car. I think what I saw was he got into chase. It got a little bit of air loose, and it's just you have to be quick on that. So that was something that was unique. Then I don't know if they changed that. I mean, that was 5 years ago now. And then the on-track portion, it's 2 10-lap sessions. No, it's either 10 or 20. I can't remember. But they let you do one warm-up lap, and then it's green. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like whatever, it's 10 or 20. I cannot remember for the life of me for some reason right now. And the main goal is you want to be fast, but if you're not consistent, then it's not good, because you need to make sure you hit that same lap time. And in 2017 and in 2018, I think 2018 I was like second on the board speed, and I think I was like a couple tenths behind in terms of the consistency. But in 2017, I was first in terms of lap time, but then I was also first in the consistency. And that was a big thing that helped me get in there. And that's something that like today I really harp on. Like a lot of the races that I do, if there's a long run, we flourish a lot more. And that's just something that's been my driving style. I've never been the one that, is very lights out, 2-lap shootout, dig. I've gotten better at it, obviously. Like I've learned how to do this stuff, especially now being in the Xfinity Series, having to be aggressive and green my checkers and stuff. But anyways, back to your actual question. That's how you get involved. Fill out the application, compete in the combine, and then if you make the team, you are one of the best minority or female drivers in the country, or really in the anywhere that really competes NASCAR sanctioned races.
I did not know that it was like a whole combine process. That's really interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe they should they should publicize that a little bit more, because that's
really they
cool.
should, because they do sorry about that, they do they put some video out, but it's never anything that's like in depth. Like I wish they did show that a little bit more. They are this year though. I've seen a lot of photos and stuff, but like I cannot tell you how wild it was going from one thing to another, and literally having a mic put in your face and say this, and it's like, okay, now go to the gym, change into your workout clothes, you're doing this. I mean, I remember the 2018 combine, so my second combine, I did 200 burpees.
Whoa, okay. I'm out. I'm dead.
It came down to me and Nick Sanchez.
Wait, so you're going head to head? It's like the last man standing?
Because me and him were identical
in
our thing, and so because it was the whole circuit, and it's jump rope, something else, and all these other things, ladder, foot movement, and then me and Nick, I think we were so close on time that they wanted to do it again. And me, I put everything I had into that one. So I was beat up. So I got to Nick was at 80 on the burpees, the second round of burpees, by the way. And I'm at 45, pushing 50, But I mean, I was also, where I was. So it's just,
Yeah, no, that is super cool.
That's
so
insane.
Let me ask, when you do the fake pressers and that sort of thing, after your answer, do they give you any kind of indication of how you performed?
No.
Really?
No.
Yeah, okay.
Oh man, that's intimidating.
Oh, it's so intimidating. Because you could be someone who just bombed out there, and then you leave I just did freaking awesome.
Yeah. Fist bumping on your way out.
Yeah. I mean, I'm the one of those people that's the opposite. I got off the stage, and everybody's like, dude, you did really good. And I'm just sitting there oh my God, I'm so screwed.
This is it. My dreams are dead.
Yeah.
So the diversity program, are you involved with it in any way now? Do they have
No.
an alumni kind of thing, or?
Oh, I would love to be. I'd love to have some role. Every so often, I'll get brought in to talk about something, but I would love to have some sort of role, just because, I mean, what they do is very big. And now that they have that affiliation with Chevy, that's been a big thing for them. I mean, it's proven on track. They went from being, a team that really had to scrape and, they would win once a year, once every 2 years, to now winning a title. That's a big jump up. So it's been a massive year for them.
And all of that goes through Rev, correct?
Yeah.
And now they are doing the partnership and alliance with KBM, correct?
Yep.
So, I mean, obviously that's got to make that program even more appealing, right? Because now there's like an actual direct streamline.
Oh yeah,
for the
there's a
truck
big
series.
streamline there. I mean, that's insane. Like watching it from the outside now, it's like, wow, it's big.
Do you graduate out of the program or do you age out of it? How does that work?
I think the age limit's like 26 or something like that.
Okay.
Okay. So let's talk about that. So you're running in the K&N series, and then you, correct me if I'm wrong, do you have truck series starts? You don't,
No.
do you? Okay.
No. So yeah, I went from K&N to Xfinity.
Yes. Okay. How did that process work out? Like, explain to me where you were at when you got at least the call confirming that you had a ride.
So the biggest thing for me was in 2019. So like the off season of 2018 to the beginning of 2019, I didn't know what I was doing at all. It was honestly probably one of the lowest points in my career on the professional side, but also on the personal side, which I won't get into. So it was a really tough time. And that was around the time I also lost my grandmother. So it was just, bad thing after bad thing after bad thing. And so I told myself, I kind of spent a week and I was really, struggling. And then I remember I kind of came to the realization, it's like, okay, what I need to do is this. I need to lock myself into a race car, period. If I'm driving a race car, it's going to keep me ready to race. So in 2019, I, found sponsorship, thankfully, and ran 30 late model races, which was great. And I did it was like 30 late model races, but like 16 or 17 weekends, because I did it intentionally that I got the most races, like twin main event nights. And that was very intentional, so I can get the most races out of whatever I did. And then once I had that locked down with that sponsorship, then I looked at, okay, now I need to figure out what I need to do. And so after talking with a lot of people who I would trust with advice and stuff, they all pointed me the same direction, and that was go do one start in Xfinity. Because they said, you going out and doing one start in Xfinity, if you go out there and do good, say if you go out there and finish top 20, top 25 and not wreck in Xfinity, that's going to carry more weight than if you go out there and finish fourth in a K&N car. Not saying that and also it would also cost so much money for me to go hop in a winning K&N car. It wouldn't be worth it to me if I did a one-off K&N race like that. Like, you might as well just go and do that Xfinity race. So, I have my conversations with Johnny, through having, that late model stuff locked in and stuff. It allowed me to kind of, find the funding needed to go and do a one-off Xfinity race. And that was Iowa in 2019, the July race. And I remember going into that race because I had done the late model races all year. And my biggest question to me was, do I still have a place here? Because, in my mind at the time, I was 18 years old. I had already blown my big opportunity. I thought I was done. I thought I was completely out of racing. I thought I had no space here. And then I went out in my first race back in a late model, we won. And that was a big, thing for me to kind of snap out of that. Like, hey, stop dogging on yourself. You could still drive. Now it's about trying to see if you have a place in NASCAR. So I go and do this Xfinity race, show up to Iowa, and I am just nervous as all hell. Just because I mean, this is the second highest series in America. I mean, the Xfinity Series and IndyCar are tied to, like, neck and neck in terms of viewership and stuff and overall popularity. So, I mean, you think about how big that is, to make a start at this level. Like, a lot of people don't think about that sometimes when they look at this. It's like, this is a big deal. Go out for practice. We were like somewhere mid-pack, and they were like 25th or something like that in practice, like solid. And I was like, okay, like, this is really good. Go out for the race, and now I'm getting ready for the race, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is my shot. I have this opportunity. If I go out there, run 30th, get lapped like numerous times, or crash, or I can go out there and do really good. Regardless, if I don't do good, this isn't for me, and I'm done. Like that, my entire career based upon that one race.
That's a lot of pressure to put on you with your first start.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Well, because I mean, realistically, that was my only shot. Like
Yeah.
I that was something that was so unattainable to me to getting into Xfinity, that I realized, I had to perform and prove myself to be a smart driver who can be depended upon, in those moments. So, golf qualified 23rd. Like, heck yeah, pretty decent. I beat my teammates. Heck yeah, like this is insane. Go out for the race. We run inside the top 15 and finish 17th.
How did that feel?
I crossed the line, and in my radio, I was told, you have a long future in this. And then I got out of the car, sat by my car because I was winded. I was tired. Sat by the car. You have Chris Rice coming over and shaking my hand. You have drivers coming over and shaking my hand. Other crew guys coming over and shaking my hand. That was probably one of the most important races of my career, because that race in itself proved to me that I could do it. And I think it showed a lot of guys in the garage that with the right opportunity, I could do it. And from there, here we are.
I talk to a lot of people, like different professions, and they talk about this kind of like tunnel vision as, they got this one shot. Like, for instance, I acted for a while and, I had different opportunities. But did you experience that, like that just like straight drive, like you had nothing else on your mind but a goal? And then at the end of the race, it just feel like a weight, like an unbelievable weight was lifted off your shoulders?
Yeah, I would say that was definitely Iowa. I think that was a big one for me, just because, like I said, there was so much put on it, for me to go out there and perform. And it wasn't by anybody else, really. It was just by me.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to go out there and finish 32nd and come to the realization that, okay, I can't do this. That would have not been good. I mean, that would have been a really bad situation for me, because I would have given up right there. I would have finished my late model schedule, probably done a few late model races here and there, and then just called it a career. But fortunately, that's not what happened. And I remember those last few laps, I was tired as heck. Like, I wasn't falling out of the seat tired, but I was definitely hot. And I just remember driving down the front straightaway every time and thinking, like, 20 to go, 15 to go, 10 to go, 5 to go, white flag. Like, I just remember counting it down. Like, I don't do that anymore, but that was like the one race where, like, I was racing, but then in the back of my head, it was like, okay, you just took 20.
So to me, that's the aspect of like racing that blows my mind. Here's where I'm gonna sound like one of those guys. I ran a 125 lap race on iRacing one time.
Yeah.
And dude, honestly, I was done. Like, when the race was over, I was so ready to like turn off my computer, and like I kind of like hobbled, over to the couch. I didn't want to sit down or anything. What is it like, those long periods of time where you're under like the heat and like the actual environment? I'm sitting under an air conditioner, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I'm iRacing. So tell me a little bit of like how you prepare yourself to like be physically well enough to go 200-300 miles.
So the biggest thing I do is I just hydrate a lot. Like, if I'm not sweating, that's a problem. That's a big thing for me. I obviously train, 2 to 3 times a week minimum. And really just watch what I eat. Obviously now it's the off season, so I've been really indulging myself. But during the race season, I'll focus a lot on having, not too many carbs, not so much fats, not so much sugar. I don't do much anything with sugar nowadays, just because I know how bad it is for me. Artificial sugar, you still need sugar. And that's the big thing. It's just making sure that your body's ready. I'll go for runs and stuff, just to get ready to push through and get ready for these races. Because, I think about like Nashville this year. Nashville, the Xfinity race was probably one of the hottest races we've had on record. And it was like 140 something degrees inside the cars. And I remember getting out, I remember Noah like threw up in his car, like a bunch of guys got sick, Decker passed out. I remember I remember getting the checkered flag, and like when you're driving, here's something that's crazy to you. When you're driving and you're racing and you're hot and you are tired, you could still go. Like you're still able to like push. Like you're able, like sometimes when you're in that focus area, you are still so focused that your mind turns off how tired you are sometimes. No, like yeah, you're feeling it. Yeah, you're like, oh my god, but like you're still doing it. I take the checkered flag, and the team's like, all right, buddy, good job, top 20, blah blah. I said, hey, all right, and I key up, all right, guys, I might need a hand when I get out of the car. Then I go around the track, nice and slow, pull onto pit road to get ready, and it hits me. And I key up, and I said, guys, I need help. I need you to get me out of this car. And I pull up, take my window net down. I pull myself out of the car. I sit on the door. And right as I sit on the door, like my weight sat down on the door, I immediately, like my eyes kind of like rolled in the back of my head. And I like started falling. And luckily my car chief, Bird, was behind me. And he put his hand on my back and like, I was like, oh, like that. And I had to be taken to the care center for heat exhaustion. And I think there was like at least 11 or 12 drivers who did that as well.
What was the temperature out that day?
It was like 105, and it rained 2 hours before the race started.
So it had a humidity.
105 and humid.
Yeah.
And then you get in a car that's going to be putting off way more heat than that.
Oh yeah. It was bad. It was easily the worst race.
This is random, but the cool suits.
I don't do it.
You don't do it?
I don't trust it yet.
Dude,
I mean,
in what way?
Hopefully they hear this and decide to, all right, we'll let you try it, and then I'll take one.
What about it do you not trust? Like, where is your concern at with those?
When they malfunction, they get hot.
Yeah.
They don't pump room temp. They pump out hot, and that's something that scares me.
Yeah, and there's no way you can like slide out of it while you're racing. Right?
No, there's no way.
It's like
shirt.
Under Armour
shirt.
in a way. Yeah.
Because
you can't take that off.
On top of like Nashville, for instance, it's hot and humid, and now you have hot water on your body.
Yeah. And that's something that I think that's actually what happened to Decker in that race. I think her cool shirt broke, and so like I don't know if that's a product issue or a installation issue, but I've just heard so many horror stories, and I'm just kind of like, I'm gonna wait till it's more proven.
Do you do like the ice packs or anything like that?
Yes, I learned that from BJ McLeod. He takes ice bags every stop if it's a hot race. So I started doing that, and I have had little to no issues now.
Do you know BJ?
Oh God, yeah, he's awesome.
Is he? Okay, he's like he's a myth, like a mythical part of our show.
No, BJ's one of the best guys in the garage area. I mean, you think about how many careers he's had an impact on, and you also think he's just a good guy. I mean, it's his birthday today. Happy birthday, BJ.
Oh, happy birthday, BJ.
Yeah.
And that's something that's like, it's kind of a bummer because he kind of gets like, to the fans who just don't know, like I've seen people like say, oh, I don't like BJ McLeod. He's just running in the back. It's like, yeah, he's like, it's like, he's not on a big team. Like he's doing what he can, and he's building his team with Tift. Like they're building an organization there. And I just like, and that's just one of the things is like, and it's funny because he has this like vibe. He's got the skulls and everything.
Yeah.
Like, people think he's like ugh.
Well, and his hair too.
He's one of the nicest people you would ever meet. Absolutely.
That's
cool. We met him at Bristol. When he walked away, I was like, that's one of the nicest dudes I've ever met.
Yeah.
Just insanely nice.
Yeah.
Let me catch up real quick. There were a few questions for you. This is in regards to Monster Jet.
Okay.
What is your favorite truck?
Gravedigger.
Okay.
I have a piece of Gravedigger in my room right now.
Do you?
Oh, that's cool.
And then Colton said, how much for your number 6 go-kart?
I'm not selling it. I got that thing for dirt cheap, and I am not selling it.
Jacob, internet is don't jinx it. Sarah isn't here, but she'll be here after the show. We have the craziest viewers, man. We're pretty sure that Sarah is a bot, but but Sarah's like always in the chat after the shows. I mean, it's crazy. We have some crazy bots who end up in our chat.
Turns out putting cult in your title is
So this question comes from Jackhammer. He says, with you being sponsored by TikTok and now Reddit, would there be another social media platform that you would like to be sponsored by?
Man, I mean, it's all over the board. I mean, it's, someone made a joke when they announced the Reddit thing that like they did the Thanos' glove. I was collecting those stones. I mean, there's so many platforms nowadays. I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's just really cool to have been someone, to be someone that has been recognized by these massive, entities in today's, modern life. Like TikTok's one of the biggest social media platforms in the world. Reddit, everybody's on Reddit. Like, and these groups have entrusted me to represent their brand. And that's insane to think about. The TikTok thing was wild because that was my first big sponsor. That was the first big thing that
How did that happen?
So
did you reach out to them? Did they reach out to you?
So they reached out to me because they saw the post that Ryan Pistano, who's a really talented graphic designer, he put out a tweet with a image of a, when I drove the 15, of a number 15 with the TikTok paint. It was pretty much the same paint scheme. He just had to edit some of the colors. And it caught on. Like, I got a couple hundred likes, a couple hundred shares, and they saw that. It's like it somehow got to the people at TikTok, and they're like, we need to do this. So through word of mouth, we start talking. We get in touch. And that was wild for me because I was still 19 at the time, and I don't have management. I don't have, agents, really. And so I'm sitting in this meeting, I have like people that I had people at the time who I like, I'm trying to think of the word. I can't think of the word. But I had people who like I asked for advice and stuff.
Yeah.
Whoever oversaw things. But, here I am in this meeting, 19 years old, and there's like 4 or 5 really important people at TikTok who are like gonna decide if this happens. And these are guys who are like have never done anything in racing, don't know anything about it. And I have to basically explain to them why this is something that could be really cool. And the conversation goes from being 1 race to being 3 races to being the final 6 of 2020. And it was just so surreal to have it all come together. And I remember the day I signed the contract because it was Richmond of 2020, that race. I was doing tires for BJ McLeod that race. I was the tire guy on BJ McLeod's car that day. And while I was doing that, I was on my phone signing the contract with my finger.
Really?
Oh,
that's cool.
So that was a really, really cool thing. I really enjoyed that, and that was a blast.
That car was beautiful too.
It was.
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
a beautiful
absolutely.
car.
Did you have any input on the scheme itself?
No, they loved the first one.
Yeah.
And it looked so good. So there was like, why change it? And then we actually, I just recently, like, I think it was last year, I'll have to find it. We had TikTok paint schemes that were pitched but never ran.
Oh.
And I tweeted them recently. I was given permission to share them.
Yeah.
I'll have to find it. It was really cool. And there's even more that I can't show still.
That's super cool. What era of TikTok was this? Like was this
Pandemic?
Pandemic TikTok?
Yeah, this was
man.
2020. So this is the one that was pitched. Like I said, this has been tweeted, so it's not like it's something.
I really like that one.
Yeah, it's the camera's acting funky, but it's kind of got flames and stuff.
The TikTok colors are sick by default.
And there was one with like a pink number.
Oh, see, I love that one.
That's super cool. Yeah.
So that was a really cool time when we were doing that.
So kind of going off of that one, here's Dalton's question. He's a big Vols fan, and Alvin Kamara is a Tennessee legend. So the deal that came up with Alvin, how did that come to be, and like what all did you do in that process as well?
So that was the beginning of 2021. We were heading to the Daytona road course, and we just came off Daytona. We had Swan on the car. Race went great. We finished top 20. We go to Daytona road course. We don't have a sponsor for that race, and I'm thinking to myself, like, man, like I do my own marketing, so I was trying really hard to find things, and then I finally just said, screw it, let me just go to Twitter. Maybe I'll get some diner down the road who wants to just buy a set of tires. Like, that's really what I was looking for, was just tire money. So I put a tweet saying, hey, we're going to Daytona. The car's blank. Like, anybody want to jump on board? And Cassie Frambro tweets like, hey, Alvin Kamara was at the 500. Maybe he might have interest. He responds to her tweet. And so I'm like, okay, maybe I should hit him up. So I DM him, and he responds. And within about an hour, I am on the phone with Alvin. And we are discussing how we're going to make this happen. And so within the course of 36 hours, that car went from being completely unsponsored and completely blank to having a full wrap and being fully sponsored. And
So-
that was all in like a day and a half.
So you're the one who kind of like negotiated that yourself?
Myself and one of the gentlemen at the race team.
Yeah. So, dude, were you like this as a kid? Like when you were young, were you kind of like the little businessman?
No. I was the kid that would get pushed off the swing and cry. So it's wild to me that I kind of have the reputation as the marketing guy. But I'm glad that I have that, but it's also a blessing and a curse, because at the same time people think, oh, well, Ryan knows how to do this. He's got it figured out. But it's like, if I got it figured out, I'd be driving for Gibbs right now.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's just plain and simple. And that's no disrespect to any, the race teams I've been with or, I'm working on. But I mean, it costs so much to be at that level and compete for wins and championships. It's not a case of me having it figured out. It's just a case of me not knowing when to shut up and like using that same mindset when I do business. I'm not gonna like, all right, a few days went by, cool, let me hit him up again. All right, cool. All right, I got a response, cool. Schedule a meeting, let's talk. All right, let's get on a phone call. Hey, when are you free? Hey, when are you free? Let's talk. Hey, let's get a little meeting. I mean, I've been scheduling meetings every day for the last 5 weeks now, really. Like even before the off season started to, I honestly, I was, obviously you work on the next season in the middle of your current season. So
Yeah.
a lot of these things are starting to really come together, but the marketing thing, that's all I do. That's my main job. My main job is to market, and then my payment is to do and go out and chase my dreams.
That's a really cool way to look at it. That is a really cool way to look at it. Did you have anybody who kind of like took you under their wing, like in a mentorship way to like talk and address these companies, or is that all you as well?
No.
It's all you?
I'm all by myself.
Dude,
It's
that's
exhausting.
incredible.
It's exhausting.
It's
But that's the way we've had to do it. I mean, and the thing is I've worked with, the unfortunate side of racing is there's always marketing people, there's always agencies that are just out to make a quick buck. And there's really good ones. I'm not saying all of them are, but I'm not in a position to pay people to work for me either. I'm like, just recently I started working with someone on the marketing side, thankfully. But I'm not in a position to hire somebody, pay a wage. I'm not in a position to pay a monthly, fee for something. Like, it's just so expensive. And I knew that if I was going to do anything, nobody's going to sell Ryan Vargas better than Ryan Vargas. And I knew that whenever I taught, like when I was getting started, when I was, 18, 19 years old, talking to these, marketing groups, I was always going to be the bottom fish because of the fact that I brought the less money if I did anything, because we couldn't afford anymore. And so that's been a big reason as to why I've had to do everything myself the last few years.
That drive, though, I mean, I feel like, okay, and in my eyes, as somebody who's on the other side of the catch fence, that's old school. Like, that's not something that goes on a lot in the garage. That's no disrespect to anybody else.
No, exactly. I mean, everybody
old.
has their own way. Everybody has their own way of being in the sport. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, people like to crap on Ty Gibbs, because Joe's his grandpa. But if I had a Cup team and an Xfinity team, and I had a grandson who happened to be very, very talented, why wouldn't I put him in my best car or one of my cars? Like, I don't like. Everybody's like, oh, he's just doing this because he's Joe's grandbaby, and it's like, yeah, like, I mean, I'm not saying that's just why, but you know what I mean, like. Yeah. I don't blame Joe. I don't blame Ty. Like, if I was in that situation, I would be doing whatever I could to help my grandson. Or if I was Ty, I would exhaust all my resources. Like, Ty is doing everything perfect for his situation.
Yeah, I mean, you can't pretend like he didn't just win a championship, right? Like,
no,
he is a champion. Like, he proves that.
Look, you don't accidentally sneeze, trip, and fall and win your first Xfinity race in your first start. You just don't,
right?
Especially on a road course, like, and that's the thing. Like, every driver's different. Like, every driver's, it's a situation thing. My situation's different. I don't have that, and so I have to do what I can to make up the difference.
How long are you willing to keep at the grind you're on right now? How long are you willing to do that before
until it stops being fun?
Okay.
And I mean, I'd be lying to you if I said there were times that it wasn't fun, and that's why you have to continue trying to make changes and work on yourself, and but yeah. So once it stops being fun is when I'm done.
That is, Cody, that is like the same thing we talk about this show too. That's the exact same thing we've always said. Like, as soon as it stops being fun, it's over.
Yeah, so, you can't do something passionately if you don't have passion for it.
Yeah.
Going back to the way that you say you look at the marketing thing as your job, and then the reward is you getting to race. Is that how you think you keep your passion, where you don't necessarily look at the racing as your job?
Yeah, I mean, I look at it as, and it's, again, it kind of goes back to that blessing and a curse thing where, I force myself to make that extra call or two, when I'm really tired and it's 4:50 something, you know what I mean? Or but then also I like, for a very long time, I kind of put myself in a very bad funk where I couldn't go out because I would mentally really screw myself. Like, I'd be out with people, with friends, and the only thing on my mind is, am I wasting my time right now? I didn't allow myself to have fun and be free. And that's something that I changed in the last few months, was more focus on having fun and making sure that I give myself time to breathe. And I think that's helped me out a lot because, we ended the season with 4 massive sponsorships with Swan, Reddit, Critical Path Security, and Williamsburg Construction. We ended with 4 beautiful race cars, all these things to end the year after I'd made those changes. And I think that was a big thing for me.
Okay, so before we get into the end of this season, there are a few fan questions that I think will be pretty fun. What is your favorite NASCAR video game?
So I played a little bit of NASCAR NR 2003. Very fun. I grew up playing NASCAR the game 2011. I love it.
Oh man,
dude.
I love that game.
I love
that game. I mean, it's a really objectively good game. It gets a lot of flack for some reason. It's like, oh, it's glitchy. It's like, it's a video game. And it's like,
dude, it was like, I remember when the first time I played that and I wrecked and there was a caution and it like went back and replayed the caution.
Yeah.
I was like, this is the future. I was like, this
Yeah.
is what I want to see. And it's
there were
never been in the game.
blowovers.
Yeah.
There were blowovers in the game.
Yeah, they were just
I was like,
flipping.
oh.
Yeah, and sometimes, like a caution would happen. It happens on newer games too, but a caution would happen that didn't contain you. It didn't have anything to do with you.
And that's something that I didn't have when I played like some of the Heat games and stuff, is that those went too far into the arcade, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think that NASCAR the game 2011 and all the way up to the inside line and the 2015, from then to then, those were that perfect mix of the arcade, but also, I would say sim, but whatever it is, I guess you could say sim. It felt realistic kind of to an extent. It was that perfect blend of arcade but realistic, and so that was something that I was afraid that things have gone away from, and I think they really tried to with Ignition. Unfortunately, I think a lot of things have just been kind of not working with that game, unfortunately, because honestly, the bones are there. You know what I mean? The bones are there with that game. I think the game itself drives really good. I think the racing is good, but I think there's just some things that need to be fixed.
Yeah, I bought it. It was something. That's all I got. Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, like I said, it's just it has the bones. It just I don't know what it takes to kind of get it over that little ledge.
See, and that's the weird thing. I mean, we've all played our fair share of subjectively and objectively bad games. But I can complain all I want about the games. I don't know how to make a video game.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I don't how do you balance a car in a video game, or make sure that it's going to handle this way or that way? I mean, to even have the game to where you can run one lap, clearly they have talent and skills, but maybe this game just wasn't executed in the greatest way possible.
Yeah,
that's the only real criticism I can throw.
Yeah, I don't know. Beyond that,
I'm excited to see what Heat does with the next gen, though.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of, so
what is your favorite track? And let's make this a two. Is that your favorite to race on?
Yes.
Now, as a fan, what is your favorite track to watch?
Daytona.
The 500, or is it just the track in general?
The track in general.
Okay.
You can go there for a sports car race. You can go there for NASCAR. You can go there for Supercross. I mean, it is the best racing facility.
What track would you like to see on the Xfinity schedule?
Iowa Speedway.
Iowa.
Yeah.
Yes. It's criminal that we don't go there. It is absolutely criminal.
What do you think the reasoning is behind that?
Money.
Okay.
I mean, it has to be. I mean, that was the reason why NASCAR didn't go to IRP for so long. It was money. So it's just one of those things. It's business. I mean, then I can't blame them for it. You know what I mean? If it's going to be something where the sport has to operate at a loss, then it's not worth even doing.
Right. Okay, so moving on from those, let's talk about your last 6 races of this season. Kind of walk us through the way the season progressed and then kind of where we're at today.
Yeah, I mean, there's things that I wish, had gone better. There's also a lot of things that, there's just, it's honestly, I think the biggest thing is that we improved, that I improved on behind the wheel. My average finish is higher than it's been. I got another top 10 under my belt, thankfully. I think it's the most top 20s I've had in 1 year, which is great. And that's been something that's definitely helped, with a lot of these other things. There's a lot of things that I wish, could have been different, but at the end of the day, I get to chase my dream and I get to do what I want. And I'm very thankful for the opportunity that I had where I'm at. And, finishing off the year, it was just good to, finish the year with some really great partners and, continue those relationships.
So here today, obviously I wouldn't expect you to spill too many beans or anything. Do you have confidence right now looking forward to 2023?
Yeah, absolutely. No, yeah. I wouldn't make a leap like I am now. I wouldn't make the decision like I did, to leave my position at JD if I didn't feel confident. And, you know, maybe that confidence is blind, maybe it's not, but I feel really good. I have a lot of very amazing people around me, with my sponsors, with my family, with friends. And I think I'm in one of the best places I've ever been personally, to where I feel I can go out and perform and also continue chasing this dream. And I said it before and I'll say it again. I wish those folks at JD the best. Like it was a great home for the last few years, but it's kind of one of those things where you have to just make a change sometimes.
Yeah, and I feel like no one can fault you for that. No, I mean, every now and whether somebody's worked in a grocery store for 8 years and they want to leave there, or you're racing a car. Yeah.
Yep.
Sometimes
it's same thing. Sometimes it's just, you know, it's time to try something different.
Yeah, my mom worked at the same place for like 24 years, and 3 weeks ago she just quit the job and made a move to Bristol, in the Bristol area. And I remember she come home and she had honestly the same glow in your eyes right now.
Yeah,
but she has that. And
yeah,
it's awesome. It's awesome.
No, and that's important. Like, I feel happy with my decision. You know, I'm happy to be in the position that I'm in, and I hope to continue making people proud along the way. That's the big thing.
Yeah.
So steering away from racing for a little bit, what do you do for fun? What is fun for you to do in your free time? Sleep? Okay, so let's say you're well rested, you don't have any meetings one day. What would you do?
Sit on the couch and watch the 2013 Xfinity Series season.
Why that year?
I don't know. I'm just naming a year. I just like going back and watching random mid 2010s Xfinity Series. I mean, I don't know. I'm bad at finding things that are fun to do. Outside of racing, I have very little to no interest in anything. I love what I do. I love chasing this dream. I love the people who support me in this dream, and I love the thrill of it. And so you'll probably see me on a Sunday, wake up, head downstairs in my pajamas, and put on a playlist of random races that I was in or wasn't in, and just hang out. Like I'm one of those guys that, like, I just would rather just chill and watch racing.
So you're a homebody?
Yes.
I can relate to that 1,000,000%. For me, the ideal night is just like chilling on the couch, eating pizza, and watching Netflix.
Yeah,
you cannot get a better Saturday night than that.
Look, I like McDonald's is my vice, man. Like, if you gave me, if I had McDonald's and I was just sitting down watching races or hanging out, I'd be so down. Like that'd be perfect.
Does McDonald's have the best chicken nuggets?
Yes.
Well, okay, give me your top 3 chicken nuggets.
So I put McDonald's at number 1. Trying to think here. Hardee's or Carl's Jr. They have the chicken stars.
They do have the chicken stars, and they are fine.
I used to tear those up as a kid.
And then if we're going by fast food restaurants, I would say the buffalo boneless wings from B-Dubs.
Okay.
So that also answers the question of, are boneless wings nuggets? Yes, they are.
I agree. I call them saucy chicken nuggets.
Yeah. I mean, and there's no shame in it. Like, I don't know, like people I will buy boneless wings 10 times over any day on like regular wings. Like, I don't like regular wings. I hate having to pick the bone out. It's disgusting.
Really?
Yeah.
It's disgusting to me.
Dude,
oh
no.
God, that makes.
I am a traditional kind of guy.
It's disgusting.
No, it's an art. There is an art to it, man.
Look,
but I do,
my friend.
It is very much so. Wendy spicy nugs, definitely
Decent.
a top 3. Decent. Oh, what?
Maybe I can be convinced otherwise. I don't know. Every time I've had them, they're dry.
Oh yeah, honestly, that's fair. That's kind of Wendy's style. Is In-N-Out overrated?
So I'm gonna say this. I think people on the East Coast overrate In-N-Out. And then that makes people who haven't had In-N-Out from the East Coast who try In-N-Out, they're like, oh, this is overrated. It's not overrated. It's perfectly rated. Problem is, people who don't eat In-N-Out and end up liking it, they overhype it. Because In-N-Out is just a burger joint. Like, it is very good burgers, in my opinion. I mean, there's a reason why Gordon Ramsay, who doesn't eat fast food, loves In-N-Out. Like, go look it up. Look it up. That is the only fast food restaurant Gordon Ramsay will eat at.
Really?
Oh yeah, look it up. I'm telling you.
Do you like Whataburger?
I haven't had it.
Oh man,
I haven't had it.
Maybe I'm that guy who's about to overhype it.
If you get your stuff at In-N-Out animal style, then it's perfectly hyped. It is so
animal
good.
Style. What does that mean?
It comes with their spread. It has like grilled onions. Dude, it's so good, man. It is so good.
I tried it for the first time this year. I went to Las Vegas.
Did you get it animal style?
I did not get it animal style. I didn't even know that was a thing.
That's the problem. Well, because it's like a secret menu thing that everybody knows about. So what did you think of it? What was it in your?
I mean, I liked it.
You just liked it though. It wasn't anything mind blowing, right? Now get it animal style and get back to me, pal.
I gotta fly back to Vegas, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Spend another 10,000. Yeah. I'll do it. I'll do it.
10,000. What kind of flight are you booking?
Dude, it was a bachelor's party,
first class.
It was a bachelor's party, bro. It was nuts. I also just had Hardee's in Mexico. I just got back from Mexico, so.
By the way, so weird that Hardee's and Carl's Jr. are the same thing, but named different on both coasts.
Yes.
I love like saying, yeah, I'm at Carl's Jr. whenever I'm at Hardee's, and like people look at me funny.
I don't understand why they had to change the name.
Because Carl's Jr. and Hardee's were two separate things, and then Carl's bought Hardee's out.
So Carl's is technically like the owner.
Yeah, John Carl, whoever it is. I don't know who Carl is.
Yeah, shout out John Carl.
Carl Jr., man.
So is that his child then?
Maybe
I guess that's what he was saying.
John and his love child Hardy.
Yeah. So I don't want to keep you too long.
Oh, you're good.
I do have there is a big question that I really want to ask. This is something that's always been important to me. I grew up a video gamer myself. I always saw a viable future in esports and competition. So tell me a little bit about you and Phoenix, kind of what your position is with them as an esports org.
Yeah, so right now my role with them is just a content creator. I stream and stuff with their logos and stuff. I am going to be having some conversations to see how I can kind of step up my place there. But that's really my role. I join the team. I help out where I can. But I plan on hopefully taking a bigger role here very soon.
How did that come to be?
I just raced with James Bigford, who is a former K&N Pro Series driver who's very successful. He was a part of the team, brought them into the Coke Series, and that to me was very advantageous for me to tie my name to. Because now you look at some of the partners I work with, I could basically approach them and say, look, I'm tied to an esports org. There's opportunity here for another avenue. So there's a lot there. And to say that I'm signed with an esports team, that's a big deal. And that helps me kind of grow a little bit of legitimacy. Not that anything's illegitimate, but you know what I mean? Like, adds a little bit of legitimacy to what I'm doing. Like, I have a full season sponsorship in Monday Night Racing with Critical Path and Lyrgus, and that's part because of me being a professional sim racer.
When did you start playing iRacing?
2018, when I first moved out here. I bought this exact sim seat and pedals, and so this is my same pedal and stuff that I've had since then. I just recently got new same wheel, just bought new pedals a year ago now.
How was that for you? Was it something that like you felt persuaded or pressured into doing, as far as like simulating your time on the track, or it was like, okay, this is cool?
Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit of like trying to get a little bit more laps or something like that. And I just wanted to do it. Like, I remember trying it, for the first time, and I was horrible at it. And I just kept playing and playing and playing. And now, I'm able to compete against some of the best guys and, run at least close to them. And that's something that I've picked up on more and more as I go.
Do you think that a lot of the pro iRacers, the guys who don't actually sit in a physical car, do you think that they have a shot at climbing into a car and being able to put down pretty solid lap times?
I mean, I watched Ray Alfalo do it this weekend at Hickory. I mean,
tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, he drove a limited late model this weekend at Hickory, and he was, honestly, for having literally no real race experience, he was very quick. And he ended up breaking, unfortunately, but when he went back out, he was running times comparable to the leader. He just was laps down. So I think iRacing plays a really good role in it gets you used to a racing situation. The biggest thing is like now that you take that leap into a real life car, there are obviously a lot more risks at hand with that. So, but it does get you moderately prepared.
When you're iRacing, speaking from my own lack of experience or experience with iRacing itself, I try to pretend like I'm in a real car. Like if I wreck this, everybody's going to be mad at me or I could hurt somebody. When you're iRacing, do you have the same mentality that you do when you're in an actual car?
Yeah, not really. And that's one of the bad things about it is, I don't have any repercussions for if I crash.
Right. Yeah, you're just going to get yelled at in the lobby.
Yeah, and so the big thing for me is when I use iRacing, I use it more as a tool for visual learning versus actually driving, because you're not going to replicate the feeling of driving a stock car in your living room. You're just not. You're never going to replicate that. But what you are going to replicate is the speed, and you are going to replicate the visuals. So if I'm going to a track that I've never been to before, like I ran Road America in 2019 in my second ever start in Xfinity, never seen the track, and I had about a week to prepare, and I basically ran 200-something laps on Road America on iRacing. Road America is a long track. That was a lot of time spent on iRacing, but it got me ready, and I figured out the track, in that time frame.
Now, for the really like the manufacturer sim rigs that they have, are those pretty comparable to being in a real car? As far as
I've never done it.
Okay,
I've never done it. You have to be tied with a team that has manufacturer support.
Okay, I wasn't sure if like teams like loaned or like leased out the area for a little bit or anything like that. No. Can't give that kind of upper hand to anybody.
You can't give that away.
Let's see. You're getting some love in the chat.
Hey, yay! Thank you.
That's my mom up there.
Aw.
Ryan is also met him at Talladega for the first time. He's much of a joy to meet as Chandler Smith and Joe Graff Jr. Okay, so I'm gonna let Jacob ask you a question, then I'll ask one more, and then I'll let you run away so we don't take up your whole evening.
That's fine.
Dude, what do you think about Bristol? That's that's one question I wanted to ask you the whole time.
So I've ran there twice, and both weren't great. I had fun driving it.
Yeah.
Fun to drive. In 2018 when I drove there in the K&N car, unfortunately that was in 2018, that spring race. They put too much PJ1 down, so it was a very much a bottom feed only race. And with how gripped up those K&N cars are, you get knocked out of lane one little smack and you are dropping several spots. And we were up to like 6th or 7th at one point. And then I think Derek Kraus got into my rear bumper just a little bit, knocked me out of the groove, and I fell to like 15th. It was like just a pain to drive. I think we finished like 11th. And then in 2021, I drove there again with JD. And I don't know, that chassis that we had just did not work for me. Sometimes you just have a chassis. I'm not trying to sound like I'm complaining or anything. It's just sometimes you just have a car that doesn't work very well for you. And so we were a little bit off. To start, and that was the tough part because that was still the year that we didn't have practice or qualifying. So if you're off, you're off. You know what I mean? Like, it's just no way to hide it. And so we didn't have the speed we needed, and then we ended up braking anyways. So it was just kind of a tough night in general.
Next time you're up at Bristol, message the LTC. I got
Yes.
I got some restaurants for you to try. Man.
Heck yeah, let's do it. By the way, I love attending race. I actually went to the dirt race this year. That was freaking sick.
You were at the dirt race?
Heck yeah, I was.
What the? Oh man, that's
And I will
badass.
say that was the first spring race I've been to. So
And
I
it
think
rained. It didn't rain a lot. It didn't rain a lot, like usual.
That was a pretty dry spring race in Bristol, for what it's worth, and it still wasn't all that dry.
I'm just saying, the dirt got me to show up to a spring Bristol dirt race.
Ain't proven. Hey,
I've
been big on it.
I've been living in North Carolina for 5 years now, and I had never been to a spring Bristol race until this year.
The dirt does magic.
I'm just saying, it's almost like that was the task at hand, and so I'm a very big proponent of Bristol dirt. I'm a big proponent.
Me too. I think it's great for our economy. It brought fans back to Bristol in the springtime, because it had just gotten so abysmal. And I'll say it because I'm strictly, a fan and a local. Like it did affect our local economy greatly. This whole area, it thrives, and it was built off of the back of Bristol, right? So, twice a year we used to have this influx of money rolling in, and on up until last year, really, like it kind of had been just stagnant water in the springtime.
This year, granted, it wasn't packed like the night race in the fall, but it was still a significant amount of that's one thing that kind of stung about I wish that rain, like the little sprinkles here and there, didn't come, because I think that deterred a lot of people from going, because even with that, there was still a considerable amount of people. Like I think there was still probably 90,000 people there.
I'd say that's a fair assessment for sure.
Think. And that place holds 150, 160. I know they took out seats for like the rows, so I think it's you got to think that's more than most spring races have had. I think the lowest the spring race had was like 30. So
and at Bristol, 30,000 people, dude, that makes that place look really, really, really empty.
Yeah. And the thing is, that's the crazy thing about NASCAR is we're still such a big sport. That's what I hate when people are like, oh, NASCAR's dead. It's no, we're not. We're still getting higher numbers than the NFL in terms of attendance. We're getting far more TV viewers than most of these sports. You could say, oh, but there's so many games in one day. It's so?
Yeah.
We're still getting this many people to spend time another day and watch a race. And it's now, do we need to be content with that? No, absolutely not. There definitely needs to be things to get us to a better point. But I just am so tired of seeing people say oh, sports died and it's dead. It's no, it's not. Stop it. Just because Charlotte Motor Speedway doesn't have 280,000 seats like it used to, which by the way, it should have never had. It should have just stayed at 70 like it is today.
Yeah.
Every time people are like, oh, they tore down all those seats because nobody's showing up. It's do you really think there would have consistently been 250,000 people showing up to these races? No. That's what kind of bummed me out when now that I've been in the sport and I've watched a lot of these these places that had all these stands, it's they built all these places with so many seats, and it's that wasn't going to be sustainable.
Yeah.
It just wasn't in any sport. We'll have those races that get a lot of people, like the Daytona 500 that has well over 100,000 people. You have Road America that gets well over 100,000 people. But you're not gonna reel in 250,000 people for a Charlotte race, and not that Charlotte's a bad race. Charlotte's one of the best races in my opinion, but I'm going on a totally random tangent.
No, that's fine.
But, that's our show. That's what we do. That
had always been something. You look at the 600 this year. That place was slam packed, and there was probably 70,000 people there, and that's perfect. You don't need it's almost better that we have to turn people away.
Yeah,
for
sure.
I'm not saying oh, we need to stop that. No, what I'm saying is we got to a point where we were just letting everybody in and building all these new seats, and that wasn't going to last. So it's now
and
that
it makes it more prestigious, right?
Yeah.
People, anytime that something is not easily obtainable, we want it more.
Look at North Wilkesboro. There's going to be less. There's going to be.
Yep.
I think there's 30,000 seats for that race.
Yeah.
They sold out in a day.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
that's
dude, people would
good.
sword
Like,
fight
I
for
think
those
that's
tickets.
fantastic for the sport. Like,
Yeah.
think about how electric that place is going to be.
Yeah, no, I agree wholeheartedly.
So, that's my random tangent of the evening.
I appreciate it. On that note, I'm gonna throw 2 questions at you, okay? Because you added a question. Number 1, who was your favorite driver as a kid and why?
So my favorite driver as a kid was Jeff Gordon, and that was because the first race I watched on TV, he won.
Okay.
And then I just watched the sport more, and I was like, oh, cool, I picked the right guy. And then my other second favorite was like a tie between Jimmy Johnson and Tony Stewart. Tony Stewart because he won at Auto Club when I was there. He did a massive burnout, and it was so cool.
I bet, dude, that's sick. What year was that?
2010. The fall race, I think. Back when they still had 2 dates.
I have an unpopular opinion.
Yeah.
Maybe it's nostalgia, but that was my favorite era of racing.
No, I agree.
Like, I rewatched those races all the time. I was a Carl kid growing up. Loved Carl Edwards. A lot of pain.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, they got into the Gen 6 era and they did a lot of things where there was like they had to make it like so many changes to the Gen 6 car that made it better, and then some areas made it worse, and it's just like it's part of it. Like, in my opinion, one of the best times that I watched racing was like the COT when it had the wing. Honestly, that was pretty good racing.
Yeah, beautiful. I know I feel like people shit on it the same way they do Nickelback. Like, it's just like that whole like herd mentality in the
Yeah.
side. Let's
Like,
all
ooh, wing, ew.
Yeah.
Like, shut up. Watch the racing. It was decent.
Yeah, dude, it was fun.
It was good.
Now, go ahead, Jacob.
Next Gen's fixed it, by the way. It's been really good.
That's what I was getting ready to say. Next Gen has completely revamped it.
Yeah.
The next question I have for you is kind of in line with the Bristol thing. It brought you out, right? So, if you were the young president of NASCAR, very young, what would you do? Like, what is the one thing that you would immediately do to make NASCAR attractive to people under 25 years old?
I would revamp their entire media package. I would start inviting more and more, of today's biggest people, not your, like we have like, and I like country, I think having these country artists come to these races, is great and letting them sing like, heck yeah. But I also think every so often we need to bring out other guys, other artists, we need to have music festivals at these races. Like, I love what the Indy 500 does with the snake pit. Like, there's no reason that Talladega doesn't have a snake pit. You know what I mean? Or there's no reason why Daytona doesn't. Like, I know Indy tried with the Brickyard one year, and unfortunately it rained, but I remember them saying tickets were up like in a considerable way that year, and then unfortunately, like I said, it rained, which really dampened it. But it's like, I feel like if there's just effort put in on that front of getting some of these names to the track and actually putting the sport more in front of people, like guerrilla type marketing, like they've done a really good job with like collaborating with some really big brands like FaZe Clan and stuff like that. But I'm saying literally do like what F1 just did on the strip in Vegas. Take a car to Hollywood Boulevard and have it do burnouts just randomly.
And this is something that I recently found out. They're not doing a burnouts on Broadway this year, apparently.
Yeah.
Dude, like, this is, maybe I'm naive, but I feel like NASCAR's been on a very strong upwards trajectory for like overall, media coverage this season. And the fact that we're not doing that this year blows my mind.
I'm almost positive that came down to a money / part supply issue. I'm almost positive.
For the next
sure I am almost positive that every team is tearing down their cars, and it probably just would have looked really dumb if NASCAR, because the thing is, if they would have still done the burnouts on Broadway, they wouldn't be taking their race cars, because all next gens right now, there's no like next gen show cars.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that's what they burn out. They burn out in their show cars. So it would have just looked really wonky seeing like a Gen 6 show up with like a next gen body on it, or like a next gen paint scheme on a Gen 6 body, when NASCAR has been pushing this next gen on us. You know what I mean? Like, they invested so much money and marketing dollars into pushing a next gen. They probably didn't want these teams showing up with this older car and it not looking right.
It's probably a good thing they didn't have it, because like I feel like if they would have done the burnouts, Brad Keselowski would have somehow got DQ'd.
Yeah. That's funny.
I do appreciate that insight, and maybe that changes my perception of it. In my head,
that'd be my own, and I think that's the only reason, because of the fact of how successful those burnouts on Broadway were. I think that's like the biggest reason.
Well, I will take that and run with it. I do appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Jacob, do you have? It looks like you were about to say something.
No, man. Dude, I'm usually more lively. I just got off of a 10-hour shift.
Oh, God.
Right before I left work, I was telling Cody about it. I was driving a scissor lift, and I ripped the charging receptacles off of both scissor lifts.
Oh, no.
So I had to rush and put new receptacles on these scissor lifts before I rushed home to hop on here. So
God.
My brain's just like, so
yeah.
This is normal Jacob behavior for what that's worth.
It is.
That's good.
All right, so I guess we'll wrap it up. Like I said, I don't want to keep you all night. You have been gracious enough to give us an hour and 30 minutes of your time, so I do appreciate that. So I know like we're not huge or anything, but by all means, plug anything that you would like to plug. And also, can we expect any kind of announcement from you anytime soon?
I mean, hopefully there's an announcement soon. Like I said, there's just a lot of there's a lot of crossing T's and dotting I's. If you're crossing I's, that's not right. A lot of crossing T's and dotting I's right now when it comes to getting a lot of these things done and finalized. I know I'll be driving. I just gotta make sure everything's set. Knocking on wood.
Here's one more question for you. What was your favorite Monster Jam season?
I'm nostalgic for 2008 because that was the first year I went to the World Finals.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Ryan Vargas, thank you very much. What's your Twitter handle?
So my Twitter handle and TikTok are both the same. It's Ryan Vargas _23, with my Instagram being RTRV23. I've been trying to change it. It won't let me. So yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us for another episode of the LTC from East Tennessee. As always, it's me, Cody, your host with the most.
JKL.
We'll see you guys next time. See, this is awkward. I'm going to go out the way we always go out. The classic video. Where's it at? Here it is.